All right, so we are on Sri Nisargadatta's treatise I Am That, looking at Advaita Vedanta and how to accomplish such an understanding or realization of our true nature. And we've been talking a little bit about the obstacles, that we have to overcome. And what are the two obstacles that he said, the two main obstacles for us? Kind of interesting because they're not exactly what you would expect. He says desire for the false, right? Desire for that which is not real, right? So that's basically all of our pleasures, all of our enjoyments. So we have this desire for the false and a fear of the true, a
Mm,
fear of the true. That this is what keeps us deluded, what keeps us gripping our life experience and our body identity, right? This idea of being spirit is terribly insecure to us. Because how do you grab onto a spirit? How do you get any kind of purchase on a spirit? And so when this idea of infinity, this idea of uh, just this enormity of existence and our identity being so small, and yet because of that identity, we find our security in this body, right? That's what we're always trying to walk around and build up our egos, because that's the only defense we have against the other is our egoism. And so we cling to that quite hard. And so our questioner asked, the last question he asked last week, he says, well, if I am eliminated, what will remain? Right? We talk about all this dissolution of myself that I'm going to dissolve into Brahman. What is it that remains of me after this dissolution? And then he again, all of his questions, all of his answers are always very, very interesting because he says, nothing will remain. And then the very next sentence, he says, all will remain. Right? So nothing is lost, nothing disappears, all of it will remain, right? But he says the sense of identity will remain. That's one of the names of God. That doesn't go away. Anything God draws near, he identifies with. That's love. That's what love. When you identify with something as yourself, that's what love does, right? And so God is identity, and God's ability to identify with anything is what makes her God, right? That unconditioned love, that ability to love all of us in the most beautiful and fullness of terms, right? And so the sense of being or of identity will remain, but no longer identification with a particular body, right? So this is a very interesting thought to me. I've often tried to figure out how to get there because our identity of self is particular. Like this is me, and I, as a singularity, work with everything else in the universe like that, and that's how my particular identity works. But in fact, I'm not a particular. My true nature is general. So I'm not one body. I'm all bodies. I'm not a space or a point in time. I'm all of it. And I'm like, well, my God, how do you create an identity out of that? Right? I mean, how am I to be a general and not a particular? That blows the mind immediately to think that. That shows why this process is so difficult for us because it's so extreme, really. It's such an extreme transformation from a particular body mind to a universal self containing all or no attributes. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. And I think it's got to be one of the major reasons this is so odd as an experience, as an endeavor, and why we are most of the time just sitting here like, what am I doing? I have no idea what's going on, how all of this actually is going to come together. How does this happen? How do I give birth to the infinite from a very strong sense of the finite? Right? So he says the sense of identity will remain, but no longer identification with a particular body. Being or awareness, love, will shine in full splendor, right? Because there will be nothing limiting it or blocking it or trying to control it or trying to build demand from it. Right? None of the narratives of ego will be there to block it at all. None of the embarrassment will be there to block it at all. You will have no problem expressing infinite love to people. You know, you look at Ramakrishna, he just loved everywhere he went. He was always open and always kind-hearted and always sweet and available to everyone. And you see how it just shone out in all directions. All of his young disciples, when you read any of their accounts and you ask them about the master, the one universal thing that they all declare is how unimaginable his love. How they always say that they always tell you you could never know, you will never know. If you tried for all the days of your life to understand, you could not understand the amount of love that that man had for us and Ramakrishna had for us. Right? Just that transforming love. And so this is what remains when we are dissolved, when our sense of I, the ego, is gone. This is what remains, this shining, effulgent, self-luminous presence of pure love, shining in all directions. Love will shine in pure splendor. Liberation. Now, this is a beautiful statement. This is almost a t-shirt right here. Liberation is never of the person. It is always from the person. Right? So the person is not liberated. Right? You and I, as we see ourselves right now, will never be liberated because our liberation is the freedom from that, from being me, from being you, from being your particular named self. That is what you will be set free from. That is not the thing that will be set free. That is the thing that you will be set free from. It is the prison, right? And that's a good meditation because how many of us view this body mind that we love so much, so much. You know, I mean, by the time we die, we're dragging a rag doll behind us that looks like it's been with us our whole life. That looks like it's been dragged through everything we've been dragged through, right? And we're still white knuckling that form at the end. I mean, it's amazing. You know, I've gone to see a number of old folks. Being in a monastery, I get a lot of old folks. Don't get to be one yet, but I get to be around them all the time. And I tell you, we hold on to the bitter end to this body. You know, I really I see this, I've shared this idea that old age is the most beautiful manifestation of grace. In a sense,
True.
it's the hardest for us, but it's the highest manifestation of grace because it's mother showing us the reality directly.
Mm-hmm.
This is not going to last. This is not who you are. This cannot contain you. This isn't the thing in and of itself, right? And she's like, you've got to let go of it. And so she sits there and literally beats our body for the last 20 years of life on earth. She's sitting there with a rug beater, just beating on our body, right? Just breaking it down, getting it sick, getting it gray, getting it wrinkled, getting it shriveled, getting it melted, you know, doing everything she possibly can to get us to detach, to let go of this thing. And what do? We just hold on even tighter. No, this is my favorite sweater. You can't have it. You can't have it. I like this sweater, right? And so this is what has to happen. This is a profound change that must occur within us. And we're not the doers, which is also grace, because who of us here would have the first idea about what to do? How do I detach from this thing? I don't know how I detach this thing. I don't know how I attach to it. I didn't even know I had a choice, right? I I apparently popped out of a womb and here I am. And where was my teacher? Where, where was the person with the catching mitt saying, okay, we got you. This isn't you, though. Don't be deluded. I'm going to put this body over here, but don't you worry about it. Don't think about it again. Right? So liberation is never of the person, it is always from the person. So you will not realize God, and that's a wonderful thing to start understanding. You are not what realizes God. You are what realization frees you from. This is the first thing to know. And the questioner says, no trace remains of the person, right? My person's going to be completely gone. Like, what's going on with that? Where will all the effort be? What will it be? And he says, a vague memory remains, right? So you'll know the story. It was there, but it's vague. It seems highly unlikely to you. Like the memory of a dream or of early childhood, right? You know you were there, so you have this conviction that you were there, even though you can't remember most of it. And most of that experience of being a child was about being a child, and it's not so apropos to being an adult. So we don't remember it much. He says, after all, what is there to remember? A flow of events, mostly accidental, mostly meaningless, a sequence of desires and fears and inane blunders? Is there anything worth remembering? The person is but a shell imprisoning you. Break that shell, right? Break that shell. All of your favorite ideas are bars on a prison. All of your favorite foods, all of your favorite shirts, your favorite clothes, your favorite people, your favorite space in the house, your favorite weather, meaningless. Let go of them, right? That's what he's saying. Let go of all these things that make your life special because they're lies. They aren't true. Your life is special, but in a way that you cannot even begin to imagine. You are unique to an extent that you cannot even begin to imagine. You are that one without a second. You cannot imagine the immensity of what you are, right? And so let go. Remember that and try your best to let go of the small, to let go of the definitions, let go of the narratives, let go of favorites and aversions. So break the shell. The questioner, whom are you asking to break the shell? Who is to break the shell? Right? This is a great question. And he says, Maharaj, break the bonds of memory. Okay? Sitting there ruminating about your past, not a good thing for a sadhu. Break the bonds of memory, right? Because they are what are holding you to your karma. The fact that you own those memories, that you think they are of you and yours, is what is the glue that binds you to your karma because of the responsibility for all of those events that you remember that you did, right? That is your karma. That's the very definition of your karma. So break the bonds of memory and self-identification, right? Of identifying yourself with this. You are free in there. There's really only those three things that you can say about yourself. I exist. I love. You know, I'm wise. Those are the only things you can say. Everything else you belongs to your delusion. Only those three things are true about you. Those are the only I statements you can make. And you can't even make them forever. As soon as you get to the bottom of the ocean, you're not even going to be saying that. You can't say Satchitananda anymore. You don't have a mouth. Right? So break the bonds of memory and the bonds of self-identification, and the shell will break by itself because there's nothing really there. That's what Ramakrishna says. He says, I tell you the truth, I went looking for my ego. And I tell you, I could not find anything there. He said it's like peeling an onion. You take off one layer, and when you get finished taking off layers, there was nothing behind them. There was no center to the onion. There is no you to you, right? If you take it all the way down, And it's nothing left, nothing there. The shell will break by itself. There is a center that imparts reality to whatever it perceives. Wow, wow, wow. That's a power. Think of that. There is a center that imparts reality to whatever it perceives. All you need is to understand that you are the source of reality. That's all. All you need is to understand that you are the source of reality, that you give reality instead of getting it, that you need no support and no confirmation. Things are as they are because you accept them as they are. Stop accepting them and they will dissolve. Whatever you think about with desire or fear appears before you as real. Look at it without desire or fear, and it does lose substance. Pleasure and pain are momentary. It is simpler and easier to disregard them than to act on them. It is simpler and easier to disregard them than to act on them, right? Acting on them meaning trying to change them, which is what we normally do. If we feel pleasure, we try and make sure that it remains and that we enhance it as much and often as we can. When we feel pain, we want to eliminate it. We want to get past it and not experience any more of it. And he says, rather than do that, rather than create narratives around them that keep you engaged, right? He said it's simpler and easier to disregard them. Understand they're not important enough to respond to. A desire is not important. Let it go. Don't let it determine the course of your day. An aversion, not that important. Don't make a story about how you have to get around or away from something. Just let it be, right? Observe it casually, all of it, with a fond regard for everything. Just letting it all come in, not being affected by it, understanding that it passes through you and leaves no residue whatsoever unless you attached. If you attach to it, it leaves a hook and a rope and a hook in there. So pleasure and pain are momentary. It is simpler and easier to disregard them than to act on them. Questioner, if all things come to an end, why did they appear at all? Right, that's one of the most interesting little science videos I watched on YouTube. It says, why is there anything at all? It seemed like the natural thing would be for there to be nothing, because it would require no sustenance, no maintenance, no creation, no destruction. It just leave it at nothing. Don't manifest anything. Right? So if all things come to an end, why did they appear at all? Maharaj, creation is in the very nature of consciousness. Consciousness causes appearances. Reality is beyond consciousness. Right? So there's no roof on this building. There's no roof. That which looks like a roof is very far away. So creation is of the very nature of consciousness. Consciousness causes appearance, right? Reality is beyond that consciousness. So that when we're looking for that one real thing, we can't find it in the senses. We can't objectify it in the mind. It is that thing which is giving us the reality we're living in. It is that thing that is making your experience of being right now real. Right? It is you that is imparting this reality to everything around you. You're not being acted on by it. You are its source. You are its cause. And as a general, there's no particular you to be affected by it. It's funny when you start really contemplating these things, the first thing that to stop is your speech. That's the first thing is this overwhelming sense of foolishness kind of settles on you, and you're like, what do I do? What do we do with this? This is so beautiful and so foreign to our mistaken way of being. We really do have to learn everything new.
So, excuse me, Swamiji, when we are enjoying something, what should we do to not enjoy it?
You don't have to not enjoy it. It's fine to enjoy something. Don't desire more of it. Don't try and fix it when it ends. That's all. Just enjoyment is wonderful. It's your nature to enjoy. It's your nature to attach, right? That's what God does. That's what love is. That's how Ramakrishna showed us that he loved us. He attached to us, right? He had empathy. He had compassion. He wanted to feed us, wanted to nurture us, wanted to encourage us, right? All of those things. So all those things are beautiful. It's not that you can't enjoy, it's not that you can't attach, it's not that you can't do any of those things. You have to do it with skill, right? So like Vivekananda says, religion is here to teach you how to enjoy. It's not here to take away your enjoyment. It's here to teach you how to enjoy this world so that you don't get stuck in it, right? So we don't want to attach to things. So if things are good, let them be good, but don't give them any extra attention. Like, oh, okay, that's nice. It's good. Things are good. Because in 10 or 15 minutes, things aren't going to be good. Right? And as long as you didn't attach, then you're fine with things not being good. You're not too bothered by them. It's like, yeah, this comes, this goes. And that is such a freedom in that, right? Because when that those moods come that you don't enjoy, depression moves in, and you're stuck in it. Be unbothered. Invite it in. Ah, my old friend, there you are. Yes, come in, come in. Let me make you some tea, right? So you accept it in the moment, joyously, happily you accept it because depression does not define you. Nothing that comes to visit defines you. So you invite it in, you accept it as a part of the moment, you love it, you nurture it, right? And when it's time for it to go, you let it go. See ya, or not. Right? So that's all. Just when you're enjoying something, don't want more. Let it be enough. Right? Let it be enough. That's the odd thing, because we get this energy in our body, and we're so accustomed to associating it with sex or with pleasure or whatnot that when that energy, like I remember just in my first years as a monk, you get a feeling of these pulses of life energy in you that are just they make you feel so alive you almost crackle, with electricity in your fingers. And any other time in your life, you thought that that was an indication that you needed to go have some pleasure, to whatnot like that, like something had to be done with this, this energy. And yet, that energy is an undefined energy. It's not a sex energy, because a lot of us, I've heard many times in the world from worldly people that say, we're sexual beings. How can you deny our sexual nature? I'm like, that's not a conversation you want with me. Go ask God. I don't know. But the fact is that was a big part of the adjustment was learning to live with so much life in you, learning to live with so much of that beauty of being. That was the thing, without and not having it remind me of all of the ways to expend that energy of dissipating that energy, which is oddly enough a big part of worldly life is figuring out how to get rid of that energy, right? And in spiritual life, it's how to not explode. It's how to keep that all of that going, right, inside of yourself, and still managing a calmness and a contentment and a steadiness, right? So while we are conscious of appearances, how is it that we are not conscious that these are mere appearances, right? Why does this all look so real? Because you are the one who gives reality to it, right? You called it real, and so it's real to you, right? So the Maharaj says, well, the mind covers up reality without knowing it, right? We look at these changing things and we stop realizing that they're changing things, right? We just assume, oh no, it'll be there. I bought my favorite chair. That chair will sit there for the rest of my life. And then one day you sit on it, it breaks. And the next morning it's not there anymore. What happened to my chair? Well, it broke. Well, I just got it. Why did it break now? Look, it was never promised. You never had a guarantee. That's when, remember that conversation I had with Prabhutananda when he was turning 85. I was driving him home from from the retreat center. I said, Maharaj, what's it like to be 85? He said, what is this question? Are we going to get personal now? I said, yes, Maharaj. I want to know, what is it like to be 85? He says, well, how so? I said, well, Maharaj, like for me at that time, I was like 45. I was like, Maharaj, I'm 45. When I think of the future, there's a lot of it. There's at least another 40 years in there, probably. I said, so there's lots of room for plans and ideas and for what I'm going to become and what I'm going to do and what I'm going to be in this life. I said, 85. I said, I imagine you really can't think out more than 5 years, if that. I mean, even that's even that's iffy. And because I felt like he was a monk, I could talk to him that frankly, I felt, and I could. And so he said, yes. He says, but I tell you, it's no different than being 25. And I said, but what do you mean, Maharaj? I just told you why it's different. He says, no, it's not different. He said, when I was 25, I understood that I was not guaranteed another day then. And now I'm 85, and I'm also still fully aware that I am not guaranteed another day. So he said, life is not different for someone who's 85 than someone who's 25, if they are not covering up the reality that all of this will go, right? That all of this will go. That's the difference. He says an 85-year-old tends toward wisdom because he cannot deny that this is going to end, that this is not real, that this will disappear, that the changing that which is composed must always decompose. So he said, perhaps that's the difference. I can't be fooled into thinking that there's 25 more years. You can, right? You can. So the mind covers up this reality. We don't face it, right? I remember when my parents bought their retirement home, and I said to them, why are you buying a two-story house with a flight of stairs in it, on top of a hill with 3 acres of lawn that needs to be mowed, 2 hours from the nearest worthwhile hospital, a car ride to everything you need, the groceries, everything. I said, this is your retirement home. I said, you should be buying a single bedroom condo on the beach somewhere with a 9 square foot yard that the HOA takes care of. It's like, and my mother was so angry at me. She said to me, she says, what are you burying me already? It's like, well, not really. I just thought you'd want a house you could live in when you can't walk. Right? But did they do that? No, they bought their 3 acre house. Just they bought it, and now my dad can't walk anymore, so he can't go upstairs to his office. My mom can't get up there to clean it. That's so you see, our mind covers up our truth. We hide from it because we want this to be real. We want this to last forever. That's why we suffer. The mind covers up reality without knowing it. To know the nature of the mind, you need intelligence, the capacity to look at the mind in silent and dispassionate awareness. There it is. That's the practice. To sit there and observe all of this. How? With silent and dispassionate awareness. not drawing any strings of relating it to me and mine, not holding on to anything with any special familiarity or feeling. This is mine. This is me, right? Oh, I've worked so hard. I love my room. I love my house. I love my car. I love my family. All positive things, but not when you've built your happiness on them. That was foolish. That was a foolish thing to do, right? Because you look, that man you married, that woman you married, they're going to die. They're leaving you. That forever line in your marriage vows, ha 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 ha. It might have meant to the end of your life together, if you were lucky, right? Everything goes. And so this is how your mind is constantly covering up reality. It's always telling you lies. No, this person will always be there. You know, I'll die before my kids do. If you admit to your death at all, even when we say I'll die, we we don't believe it even enough to know what it means. I don't know, right? So this is why spiritual life is both extremely difficult because we're trying to move an identity from a particular to a general, right? And we're trying to do all of that and take everything with us, right? Trying to take all our favorite pieces with us and lying to ourselves through the whole process, right? It's amazing. Old age causes a lot of this. I pick on my parents a lot because they're so much older than I am, but you know, this idea my mother, is struggling terribly with the pain in her body. And all she keeps telling me is, I'm going to get back to the way I was. I know I am. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. I'm going to get back to the way I was.
Mm.
And I'm a Vedantist monk, unfortunately, as a monk, as a son. And so I'm like biting my tongue because what can I say? I'm like, Ma, Ma, you're not returning to the way you were. You're not going back. Your body's not going to get better. Your health isn't going to get better. The pain isn't going to go away, right? Stop. We have to stop lying to ourselves. We have to stop pretending in order to make ourselves feel safe and to make ourselves feel, you know, good. The way to feel good is accept it. This body was never a promise of longevity. This body was never anything. No promise at all came with it. No guarantees whatsoever. What came with it was the potential to transcend it. What came with it was the promise that there's freedom beyond it, right? And all of the sufferings that we've gone through, instead of learning from them and accepting them as indications that this was never meant to last, we fight them. We fight them. We hide from them. We cover them from our mind, right? We don't talk about them. Has any of you had conversations with your partner about dying, about death, about them going? You know, well, what should I do now to help you deal with the fact that I'm gone? We had a wonderful passing away, Andre here, a woman, Michael and Andre, a couple, a beautiful couple, one of the most sweet and unspoiled people I've ever met. And she passed. She went away rather suddenly, it seemed. But yet Michael says that he knew something was up because for like the month before she went, she was writing notes about all kinds of things that had to be done around the house that were on the plans and that were supposed to be happening. She started pulling out her recipes and organizing them and leaving them for him. And he says that when she left everything in order for me. She set me up to do just fine. She left me notes about what things needed to be done. She left, she uh, made sure I knew how to get into her phone to see the schedule of when all of these things were going to happen and whatnot. You see, she didn't hide from it. She knew somehow that she was going to go. And she didn't lament and she didn't tell her husband and she didn't, what did she do? She went to work setting him up for success, right? That's detachment. That's the real thing right there. When your love for your husband isn't helping him to delude himself about your death, but it's you helping him prepare and helping you prepare, right? And making sure that everything's in order, because this has always been the truth. This has always been the truth. That's why when Nachiketas, when his father says, I give you to death, that wasn't a curse. That wasn't a punishment. It was a statement of fact. I gave you birth, so I brought you to life. And with that, I gave you death. Right? So it was a statement of the fact. It wasn't a burst of anger. It was a statement of being. And what happened? Nachiketas, it says that faith came upon him. He heard the truth, he saw the truth, and he was like, wow, I don't want any part of this. I don't want any of this. So he goes to death. He accepts it. I'm going to death. So he goes to the kingdom of death, which is where we are already. But it only becomes the kingdom of death when you face the truth. All of us are right now sitting in Yama's waiting room. Every one of us are sitting where Nachiketas was sitting. We're sitting here waiting for death. And we're sitting here waiting for death, and we're asking, what is the truth? What happens? What is real? And Mother's telling us what's real, showing us what is real, right? But all the time, we're being offered by Yama, the god of death, all of the possible distractions. I'll give you beautiful women. I'll be handsome husbands galore. I'll give you amazing houses, the best yards. I'll give you great children. They'll all be super doctors and all be super scientists, and they'll give you millions in your old age for no reason whatsoever. It's going to be amazing, right? Just don't think about dying. Just don't think about death, right? All those things that death offered Nachiketas, instead of giving him his answer, what happens when I die? He just kept giving him distractions. And so here you are sitting in Yama's waiting room, pettying your time away with distractions, rather than realizing I'm sitting in death's waiting room. What is the truth? What's going on here? Everything I know of is about to come to an end. Everything I hope for is about to just disappear. What do I do? Oh, by the way, I'll have another milkshake. Right? Right? Don't let yourself lie to yourself all the time. Right? Death is not morbid. If it was real, it would be horrendously morbid. But death is not real. It's the changing of a pillowcase. So don't let yourself be lied to. Death is not traumatic. Death comes and goes. It has many times, apparently, right? And so sit in Yama's waiting room and don't be afraid. Accept it. Yes, this is true. We're all going off the end of the diving board. We're all walking the plank, one at a time. Right? And all those people up in front of us, we're like, oh my gosh, those poor people. Well, no, they're not poor people. They're just first. You're going next. Right? And as you grow old, or certainly all of us are having this experience, when you hit your 60s, that's when it really starts happening. Because now you're at the end of the plank. There's only there's a few folks in front of you, like for me, it's like Cher and well, some of them already gone, Carol Burnett is still there. Cher is there, you know, all these folks that were my heroes and my my idols when I was a kid. When you turn 60, you suddenly you see them on the news, you're like, oh my God, she looks horrible. What happened to her? And then the next thing you hear is they're dead. Oh my God, Cher's dead. Oh my God, John Denver's gone. Oh my God, Neil Diamond's dying. All of your favorite folks, they start going. That's Mother saying, see, I told you. First, I'm taking away all of your favorite actresses, actors, and singers, performers, dancers, all those people that gave you all those delights. And look, they can't even walk. Right? They can't even look. They can't even walk. Yep, there they go. Oops. Now it's the people that are you start reading the obituaries, yesterday some woman died at 32. I was like, "Oh my God." I'm twice her age. I'm still kicking around, right? And so people your age start passing away. I start, I read anytime somebody's in their 50s or 60s and they die, I never paid any attention to that at all before. And now I'm like, how'd they die? What? Oh my God. What what got them? Is this something I should go get checked for? Right? Because that's old age too, right there. I had that realization one of these days. Now, when you're old, when you're getting there, one of these days I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to find out how I'm going to die. I'm like, oh my God. That's crazy. Doctor visit isn't just a casual little, oh, let's get it checked and get a pill and take care of things. One of these days I'm going to go and he's going to be like, well, there's nothing we can do about this one. This one's going to take you out. I'm like, whoa, that's intense. All right, here we go. Don't lie to yourself. Accept all of this with a smile, just like Rumi says. Joyfully invite all of this in, right? What is wisdom at Meister Eckhart again? Invite the moment in. Accept what this moment brings with your whole heart and delight in its doing. Whatever is necessary to process, to move, to do, delight in it. You can't be beaten. None of this is real. You will not be overcome by it. You will transcend. You will have your realization, and it will be unlike anything you've ever imagined. Right? All right. Where are we? Okay. Yeah, okay, here we go. So the mind covers up reality without knowing it. To know the nature of the mind, you need intelligence, the capacity to look at the mind in silent and dispassionate awareness. Silent and dispassionate awareness. That's the when you are silent and dispassionate, you're not inert. Satchitananda is energized, right? And manifests in you, right? So the questioner says, well, if I am the nature of all pervading consciousness, how could ignorance and illusion happen to me? How did this go on, Maharaj? Neither ignorance nor illusion ever happened to you. That did not happen to you. Find the self to which you ascribe ignorance and delusion, and your question will be answered. You talk as if you know the self and see it to be under the sway of ignorance and delusion. But in fact, you do not know the self, nor are you aware of ignorance. By all means, become aware. This will bring you to the self, and you will realize that there is neither ignorance nor delusion in it. It is like saying, if there is sun, how can darkness be? As under a stone there will be darkness, however strong the sunlight is. So in the shadow, the I am the body consciousness, there must be ignorance and illusion. In the shadow of the I am the body, right? So believing that this is you, wanting it to last forever, believing that somehow you can imbue it with your divine qualities, which is really what all desire is in this universe, in this world. All of this desire and that longing that you have, in reality, it's you knowing your nature and trying to recreate it in a subtle, in a temporal world, in a finite world, right? And so you remember that you are omnipotent, all powerful, and so you try and mimic all powerful in this world by collecting as much money as possible, right? Going out there and working out at the gym until your muscles are stacked two or three on top of each other and you can't put your hands down at your side anymore, right? All these things that we do to become all powerful. to become one without a second. We want as many friends as we get. We want good relationships with everyone. We want a wife, right? We want a family. We want everything that mimics oneness, and we want it to an infinite degree. We want security, right? So we go looking for name and fame because that's security. If everybody loves me, I'll be taken care of. Right? So all of your desires are you trying to recreate your immortal self in the finite world. And that is why the struggle never ends. That is why we die trying, because it cannot be accomplished. You have to set the dream down in order to wake up. But why did the body consciousness come into being? Maharaj, don't ask why, ask how. It is in the nature of creative imagination to identify itself with its creations. You can stop it any moment by switching off attention or through investigation, right? So it is in the nature of creative imagination to identify itself with its creations, right? That's why sitting right here behind me, I got all my lovely little things that I created, right? When you create something, you naturally identify with it. It's mine. It's something that I made, something that I did. But the beauty of that process is that when you create something like that, your experience is not then of wanting to hold on to it. Your experience is of wanting someone to have it, right? Of wanting to give it away, wanting to share it with somebody. That's one of the secrets. In your life, understand that all that you have, all that you've created, it's all lovely and it's all beautiful. It's not the thing that you renounce. What you renounce is your attachment to it, right? It's fine to have a lovely house. It's fine to have a lovely wife and husband and children. It's fine and beautiful. Don't need it. Don't expect it. Don't cling to it, and you'll be fine, right? You'll be fine. Let it be a beautiful family. It will always be beautiful in your mind, but there'll become a time of day when there's not a single trace of it ever having been there. Everybody's going to die in their turn. Our whole family, our dogs, our cats, our goldfish, and our turtles. They're all going. The house that you're living in, different sets of bare feet are going to run through its hallways one day. They're going to change the carpet to a color you can't stand. But you won't be there. But it won't be your house anymore, right? And be okay with that. Face it. Face the brute. Laugh in its face because it is all delusion. It's not real. And the pain and the fear is delusion. The suffering is delusion. You're free of it. You're beyond it. You cannot be touched by it. That which is you cannot be affected by it. Right? So don't ask why, ask how. It is the nature of creative imagination to identify itself with its creations. That's normal. But stay normal. What's normal? Identify with all of your creations and then share it like crazy. Give it away. And the one promise God makes is that by the measure with which you give, by that measure you will receive. Right? So if you out there like Ramakrishna, he had devotees. He had one old man in particular, I don't remember his name, and he actually told the old man, "You give away more than you get. You should be more responsible." Right? But I thought, what an amazing characteristic to know somebody who gives away more than they get. What an incredible person that is. What an incredible person. But the thing is you cannot give away more than you get because mother simply won't let it happen. She's like, oh, that person needs something. Hey, if I give that to Swami C, they'll get it. Because he has always, well, obviously being very metaphoric here, unfortunately. But like for all of us, be that person that mother knows if she needs to help somebody, you're the person, you're available. Because we live like Peace Pilgrim lived. We live as if we're butlers in God's dining room. We stand here in the corner being as unintrusive as possible, just taking up as small a space as possible, but our attention is constantly combing the room for an opportunity to serve. Is there anybody I can get some water for? Anybody need their dishes taken away? Anybody need their chair pushed in? Just constantly looking the room. And that's how Peace Pilgrim said she saw herself in this world. She said, I'm God's butler. And I just sit here in every moment looking for an opportunity to serve. There it is. Your practice in this world is to be available. If God needs or wants to move something on the whim for no reason whatsoever, you're the man, you're the woman, you're right there. Yes, I'll do it. Right? And go, give, share, love. Just don't attach. Don't cling. Let it all pass. All right. So we'll stop there for today. Let me turn off the recorder.